Hi, everybody. Ray and Steve back with you for another episode of the 90s Addict. This is not a mixtape. This is not a counting tracks. This is actually an album review, or a concert review, I should say. Dave Matthews Band, as you can see on the screen, Spac is the venue in Saratoga Springs, New York, and 7:15 is when they played. I was lucky enough to go to this concert. My first concert in years and first time seeing Dave Matthews. So wanted to jump on with Steve and get his opinion. How's it going there, Steve?
Fine and dandy.
Right on. So I was very interested. I mean, we've talked about this plenty since I've been there, but I was very interested to talk to you about this on the show because obviously you are again, forgive me while I fix the camera here, but you are a much bigger Dave Matthews fan than I, but I will tell everybody I had an excellent time at this show, and it was all per Steve's suggestion that I went to this show, so I have to say thank you to him for that. So let's dive right into it. This is the crowd noise you're hearing into the intro, and they start out with So Right is the first song here, and this is one, if I listen to the studio version, I'm like, yeah, all right. But this is a different vibe live. I wish they would have opened with something else. But it was definitely, it got people up on their feet. That's for sure. So tell me a little bit about So Right, Steve. This is a common opener these days?
This year it has been.
Okay.
I think like five times or something like that. But
Nice.
it works.
Mm-hmm. It definitely works. This concert, there were so many people there. We were actually outside the amphitheater, so we were just watching them on a big screen, with a bunch of hippies, and it was a really good time. I had a great time. So this was a very cool opener and good way to kind of get everybody in the mood. And then they transitioned right into a deeper cut, I guess, called Pig. And I knew this one because Steve and I did an album review with this not long ago, and I did not like the album version. I liked the live version a lot. So tell us about Pig, Steve.
Yeah, I love Pig. Live especially. It's been around for a long time. It was called "Don't Burn the Pig" initially. Had some slightly different lyrics, but definitely one of my top 10 songs.
Now, I mean, I don't know. I mean, all the Dave Matthews folks out there, they might think this is a little hokey, but let me just throw a little wrench in here to make this a little more interesting. Tell us, Steve, when we go through the rest of these songs, the rarity in which you think these are played. Is this like a common song? Like if I saw them 3 times in a year, am I going to hear this? Or is this something that you kind of got to catch and be lucky?
You kind of got to be lucky. That's just only the 5th time it was played this year.
Nice. Well, I caught it and I loved it, and Steve and I were texting when I was driving home, and I was like, I like Pig a lot more than I thought I would, and I was very happy with transitioning into that. And then the next song is one of my absolute favorites. This is what I think they should have opened with. I mean, lyrically it makes sense. This is the song, in my opinion, the crowd went craziest for. When at the end, when he starts screaming the hello again part, we were outside the amphitheater. You felt like you were like standing in the middle of an earthquake.
Yeah.
It was, the vibration of the people was insane. I've never felt anything like that in my life. And I just love this song. What's that album, Steve? The Stand Up? That album is on? That is one of my favorite Dave Matthews albums. And I was really stoked. I texted Steve immediately. I'm like, hello again. Little did I know he was tracking the set list before I was. So tell me about, obviously we know about Hello Again, Steve, but tell me about this. I'm hoping this is a rare one to catch.
When this was played, it was the second time at the tour.
Yes.
I think it got played 1 or 2 more times since.
Oh yeah, Charlie Sheen style, winning. And I mean,
for a place like Spac, that is very heavy fan, like big time fan base. Yeah, I'm amazed the place didn't collapse.
it was. I can't explain it. I really. It's what I'm saying is just you had to be there. And again, we were 600 yards, 700 yards from the band, and just the vibration from the building was insane. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here because I don't know how well it's going to come through, but I want people to kind of get what I'm talking about. Oh, maybe I went too far. Here we go. Love the keyboard player. I always forget his name, but
Buddy
I love
Strong.
him. Buddy Strong. I always want to say Buddy Rich, and I know that's not right. So this part here. Now, obviously, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you hear a vibration of 30,000 people, I mean, my God, that was just... I could have... I mean, the concert could have ended right there, and I would have been happy. Honestly, I would have been happy. Any closing thoughts on Hello Again, Steve?
I'll have to listen to this after I download it, but it sounded like the entire crowd was screaming along.
Oh, they were. Yeah. I mean, it was... it was just, I don't know if it's that groove with the guitar or what, but it's just a catchy song. This next one is not. I'm going to let this play because I think Dave says something here. And he said a bunch of cool one-liners. I'll try to remember some of them. There's a Dart story I shared with Steve that's hysterical. Here's something.
This is a time out song. I like this song. This is a song about. This is a premonition about this evening.
It's a premonition, Steve.
It is.
It is.
It won't make sense, but that's okay.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh, I get what he's doing because of the song he's going into. Okay, so this next song, this is off the new album. It Could Happen. In my opinion, this is the one track I kind of wish they swapped with another song on the new album. The Only Thing, maybe. Although I think they played that the night before.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not a bad song. It just the album is such a rock. And I don't know if you could call it Dave Matthews rock, but it's such a rock feel compared to all his other albums that this song feels like it should have been on one of the old albums, and they just stuck it on here. And so it seems a little out of place. Am I off base there, Steve?
No, it's definitely a slowdown within the album. It would have fit better on like Come Tomorrow.
There you go.
It actually would have made Come Tomorrow a better album.
I agree with that 100%. And it has the vibes for that album. And this one obviously, not obviously, but honestly, this kind of deflated the crowd a little bit because I don't think this is a lot of people's favorite cuts on the album. And I don't know. I think they were just expecting something a little more upbeat here.
I think after that first three-song run, they were just burnt. They needed a break.
Could be. Could absolutely be true. This next one, I did not care for the album version. I think we talked about it on a previous show. I liked the live version a lot.
Big proponent. I was very upset with the album version.
Yeah. This is it's like a different song. So, what's the rarity on this one there, Steve?
This has only been played twice this year so far, which I'm really shocked by because it's been around for since 2008.
Uh-huh.
And got a lot of play. So to be on the album,
nice.
I was kind of shocked by that.
Yeah, man. Me too, because I really like this song. It's right in this sweet spot. It's about 5 minutes long. You know, nice little kind of mid-tempo.
It's about a crush he had on his babysitter.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I did not know that. Very cool. Now, I'll go a little bit behind the curtain here. I was really digging this song, especially the chorus, the part you hear now. Like when you hear 30,000 people like doing this, it's kind of like, oh. And I was jamming, and Steve just happened to text me when I was in the middle of my jam session to this song, or right at the end of it, and he goes, "Here comes Minarets." So you can guess what the next song is that's coming. And so this one, I got to be honest, not one of my favorite songs, but you can't like them all. So tell me about Minarets, Steve.
I'm a big fan of this song, personally. It's kind of where Madman's Eyes kind of derivated from.
Okay.
Also, it was only played twice all year so far.
Winning again.
I'm sure it'll show up at the Gorge, but yeah, this one usually gets the crowd amped up.
Yeah. So this is the Madman tease. Again, this is more than a tease, in my opinion. I mean, I'm just waiting for the horns to come in. I mean, unless this is how Minaret starts, but it sounds just like Madman's Eyes.
There's a lot of similarities, quite honestly.
Okay.
Until the actual song. But they both kind of start out the same way.
Okay, fair enough. And I don't know, I mean, obviously we're talking over stuff and, we're telling you about experiences here, but I don't know. Hopefully we don't get any blocks in other countries for copyright. Dave Matthews stuff is pretty good about that, but this is a live recording, so I think we'll be okay. Is this one, Steve? I know you said, this is the second time it might be played at the Gorge, but is this one that only gets played? Is this usually a one that's not in there all that often?
Yeah, I think
just got rotated
it's more
out?
of a vocal strain. Especially as you get further into it. Like, kind of have to balance it out. These folks are getting a little bit older.
That's true. That is true. Let's fast forward a little bit here. I just, this one, you could tell the diehards loved it. And this is kind of where it got a little bit weak for me, because this next one wasn't my favorite either. This is another one from the new album, Walk Around the Moon, although I think the live album is heads and tails above the studio one. I know we say that all the time. This time I mean it. That was a joke. But it is. The live version, in my opinion, is much, much better. Thoughts on Walk Around the Moon, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to this 20 times before the album came out. So all I heard was the live version. So again, like opening the album with it, it just felt a little empty. It's a great song. Any song about taking mushrooms and walking around the woods. Hey, do what you got to do.
That's right, man. And I like this one. Like I said, it has a much more jazzy feel to it live, and I don't know. I think it's much, much better live, as is most of his stuff, I'm finding out. This next one is another one I wasn't terribly familiar with, but I ended up loving it, and I mentioned it to Steve. This is a song called She. This is not the Kiss song. This is the Dave Matthews song. So tell us about She, Steve.
Oh, this one just rips.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's nice. It's around mid-set point. Get people back up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I like this one because, I mean, it you could hear it has that heavy guitar, and he's singing in the lower voice, and I mean, that's the Dave Matthews I love, that bluesy sound with the horns, and I mean, was this ever put out as a single?
Yeah, it was on. I can't remember the album.
I'm surprised this didn't get more traction.
Yeah, I feel like a complete jerk for being a fan, and I'm blanking out on the album.
Oh, it's one song, Steve. Give yourself a break.
I'm harsh on myself.
I honestly don't. Is this one? This has to be one of the. Is this on Grugrux? No.
Nope. Come tomorrow.
Okay.
I had to redeem myself.
Okay. So that makes sense then, I guess, why they transitioned into this next one. This is Samurai Cop. Was not a fan of this song. I remember when this album came out, I was still kind of partially on the Dave Matthews bandwagon, and I heard this, and I heard a song, and Steve will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, because my memory is not what it used to be, but there was a song I heard, I don't know if it made the album, was it called something like Mercy? Does that sound right?
Yeah, Mercy. Yeah.
Oh, Mercy something? Is that... So I heard that, and I heard this, and I'm like, what is happening to this band? Like,
Mercy
what is
was
going
on
on?
Away from the World.
Okay. I mean, I gotta tell you, listening to him sing this live when he does the "Oh Joy Begin," like towards the end when he really gets into it, I mean, that part is cool. So it's definitely much better live. It's just not one of, in my opinion, not one of his better songs. Just being honest.
Interesting fact about this song. The title.
Yes, sir.
Samurai Cop. Is a movie they were watching in the studio.
Oh, no kidding.
I recommend everyone check it out. It is a horrible B-movie.
Really?
But they were watching some random stuff, and that's why they picked it for the name.
Nice. That's very cool. And just to, I don't know, stir it up a little bit just because I can. This was the last album that your pal Boyd was involved in, that I recall, right? And I read he only played on one track on this album, and I don't think this was it. And did he tour this record?
The only one was Idea of You.
Oh, okay.
He was scrubbed off the rest.
Oh, he did play and they took him off?
There were some recordings.
Oh, wow. And is that just because of all the crap that he did, or they just didn't like it? Oh, wow. Good to know. I mean, interesting. I mean, that's a damn shame, that guy. I don't know what happened to him, but I saw a video of him recently. I don't know if you saw this, Steve. He was at some award show or something.
Huh.
And he was acting like he looked like he was on drugs or alcohol or both. I mean, he clearly was altered and was slurring his speech, and he was just going, I hope to see you guys on stage with the band again soon. And I'm sitting there going, I don't think Dave feels that way. But I could be wrong. What do I know?
You know what? Buddy Strong's too good of a thing to happen to a band.
Very true.
I think they're more creative now, more apt to improvise.
And, I mean, I'm going to ask you a dumb question now, because obviously I'm not the diehard that you are, but when Boyd Tinsley was in the band, like, for all those years, I from what I'm reading more and more, he didn't really play on every track. He played on a couple, I guess, on each album. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and live, too, they would turn him down in the mix because he was playing so bad.
But that was just the last couple of years, right? Or was that all the time?
Yeah. No, early on, everything was good. And he had an injury or something. I don't know if it was a pulled tendon or something.
Arthritis, I heard.
Yeah, and it was just his playing was so out of sorts.
Gotcha. And now, the other guy is a keyboard player. So who plays the fiddle now?
Nobody.
Oh.
Buddy kind of fills in
Okay.
those parts.
On the piano, on the organ?
Yeah, and I think in a lot of cases it sounds better.
Okay. I don't disagree. I just they didn't play anything really like that. I had a fiddle in it that I could recall. Maybe I'm wrong.
I know you're a huge fan of the song, but the one that shows off the best is Ants Marching.
And they didn't play that.
No.
Yeah, and that's like that's what I was wondering, because I just assumed they would play it, and I was surprised they didn't. And I was like, I wonder how they're going to pull this off. And they didn't go that way, so I didn't hear it. But yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. I think I never thought he fit with the band, and I was never a fan of the violin or the fiddle or whatever. And I just think it made that early stuff sound hokey. And I think that's why a lot of people like me, like when Under the Table came out, were like, oh, this is all right. But there's a lot of violin in here, or fiddle, and I don't know that there needs to be. But I agree with you. Much, much better now. So, sorry for that side tangent there, folks. And that takes us into Jimmy Thing. Everybody knows this song. It's only 9 minutes long. They must have cut it because I think it was about 18 minutes when I was there. So I like Jimmy Thing, and I always, obviously the live version is better than the studio version. I think this song is one of those for me that of the Dave Matthews songs I know, this is one of the most overheard that I just hear it all the time. So I wasn't blown out of my seat watching this. But give me your thoughts on Jimmy, Steve.
I mean, honestly, I would have went to the bathroom. Because we're 10 songs in.
Yeah.
That opening run was pretty thick. You know, and I've heard this song so many times. And it's not that I don't enjoy it, I won't put it on. But being at Spac, where you know it's going to be kind of special, yeah, I would have sort of went to the bathroom and hope I got back in 12 minutes.
True. And I kind of felt the same way. And then they went into this next one, which is a cover, Brick House by the Commodores. And I mean, they did a good cover. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was singing to it. People were jamming out. But I think he does other songs that are much, much better for his vocal style and just for anything. You know, Sledgehammer, Burning Down the House, any of that stuff. But this was cool too. And you know, I'm a little too young to have said I've seen the Commodores. So it's nice to say I saw this song live, I suppose. Give me your thoughts on Brick House from Dave.
Yeah, this just showed up this year. I've only heard it one other time on YouTube.
Okay.
But you know, for 3 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, could have been worse.
Oh yeah. See, I mean, it was a good performance.
That said,
that's your boy right there.
Yeah.
What's that?
What comes after this is just utter insanity.
I know. And this, and I'll spoil it again for everybody. I was telling Steve, like on my way there before or whatever, I was like, dude, if they play Cornbread, I'm gonna lose it. I'm telling you. And the next one was Cornbread, and I lost it. Now the only thing I dislike about this song is this one, even on this recording, seems much quieter. And when I was there, it was much quieter, because as I'm listening to it back now, I'm realizing I could not hear the lyrics all that well when I was there. But I love Cornbread. It is just one of my favorites. And this song, in my opinion, I don't know. I think Hello Again got a bigger pop, but this had to be number 2.
Well, especially with Joe Lawler.
Yeah. That was cool. Now, tell us about him, Steve, because he came out with the electric guitar and just, like, blew everyone else off the stage. So, like, tell us about... I don't know him, so tell us about him.
I don't know a ton about him. He's more of a session musician, but he's been guesting with DMB for a long time.
Cool.
You know, so he kind of thinks back there's going to be some guests. And like I said, it just goes off from here. His guitar ability is insane.
Yeah, man. And I mean, this one was it was so cool to see it live, even though I was however many feet away, because I just love it. And I listened to the studio version on YouTube, and it's awful. It's just it's unlistenable compared to this. It almost sounds like a full-blown like bluegrass song. I don't know, but this is awesome. And is there any chance they would re-record this and put a version like this on an album, do you think?
I think this song deserves to stay a live song. Now, as I said in the past, I'm a huge proponent of all these unreleased things ending up on an album.
Sure.
But in a concert setting to capture this,
yeah,
like aside from recording a live version and putting it on an album, I don't even see a reason to try in the studio.
I don't know, man. I feel like if they all sat around and played live like the old days, I think they could do it. But I agree with you too. I mean, if it's not broke, I guess don't fix it. But this was just this was where it was at for me, and I was like, how this got. And if you guys, I know it's dark because these are grayed out, but how this transitioned from this to Monsters, somebody needs to help these people with the playlist, like at least the order of the playlist. Because coming off of this and going into Monsters, it kind of was like, oh, okay, we're going back down again. So, and everybody was so, because I mean, we did Jimmy Thing, then we did Brick House, then we did Cornbread, and I don't know, maybe that's his thing. Like you said, they do a couple rippers and then they back it down a little bit. But
it's been pretty consistent. I think it is because people do go off, especially down the pin and you need a little break.
Fair enough. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. This next song I was not terribly familiar with. I don't remember it blowing my mind necessarily. This is called You Might Die Trying, but I have to say, after seeing the live version, I obviously, like everything else I've said, I like it better than the studio one I heard. Tell us about this one, Steve.
This song has just become a monster live.
Okay.
I also wasn't very big on the recorded version.
Yeah.
But I would take this at every show and not be upset about it.
Yeah. I mean, it took me probably the first 2 or 3 minutes to really get into it, but I mean, by the end, I was like, this is pretty cool, man. And you've been telling me for months now, and I've heard it for years, all the diversity in his set list and all that stuff, but it just makes it that much more fun because you don't know what's coming. And at least at this concert that I went to, he didn't tell you, like he didn't announce any song was coming. So, it was kind of every song was kind of a cool surprise, at least for a newbie like me. So, is that fairly commonplace, Steve? I know he says stuff about like when he plays Jane's song live and stuff, but does he usually not say much?
No.
Cool.
It's just
very cool, man.
Say something funny or a little wacky, and here's a song.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was very happy with this one. Is this a rare one to hear, I'm guessing?
Not this year.
Oh, no?
It's been played over a dozen times.
Wow. All right. Well, cool. So that takes us into this next one. Now, this one I was telling Steve I was not a fan of. I just wasn't. This is called Cha Cha, and as far as I know, there's not a recorded version that I've heard.
No.
Tell us about this one, Steve.
Well, Bella Fleck also came out at this time. Here and played his banjo there.
That is right. I must have skipped over that part. He played for about 3 or 4 songs.
Yep.
He stayed out there a while.
Second guest was not expected.
No?
Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I kind of thought, like, when Joe Lawler came out, it was going to be, for a little bit, 2-3 songs, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
And then seeing Bella Fleck coming out, it changed this whole concert.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I got to be honest, I'm not a Bella Fleck fan necessarily. I'm not a banjo fan necessarily, but the guy has mad skills. I mean, he's crazy on that banjo. And from what I understand, and Steve, you could probably attest to this a little bit, playing a banjo is completely different than playing a guitar.
Oh, yeah, I have tried and failed.
Okay, fair enough. So this is where it kind of takes a little bit of a dip for me in this set. I wasn't a fan of this song. This transitions into a song called Spaceman. Not the biggest fan of this one either, so I'll let Steve take the lead on this one. But I honestly forgot what album this was on when he played it, and the crowd kind of, I don't know, I'm sure the diehards knew, but this was another one that kind of seemed like a bathroom break type song. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but that was my thoughts on it. Bella was still out here playing through this, I believe.
Oh yeah, a couple songs to go yet.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I don't. Is this one of your favorites, Steve, or what are your?
Not really. It was the first time it was played this year.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
It used to go from Spaceman into Cornbread, and I liked it more that way.
I can see that.
They were kind of always stuck together.
Yeah.
By itself here with Bella Fleck, I don't know. It's just there.
Yeah, exactly. And so, hey, they all can't be winners. The next one is Lie in Our Graves. And, I kind of knew this one. This is an earlier one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I really liked this live. This was really fun.
This was not on the set list.
Oh, no?
They just decided to play it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
Wow. So I got a special one.
Yep.
Nice.
I kind of figured when I saw Bella, because he plays on this one quite a bit.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was kind of expecting it. And then when I saw the set list the next day, I'm like, wow, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, man. Now, is this the first time this was played this year?
No, it's been popping up a lot. At least a dozen times.
And does he play it without Bella Fleck, or?
Yep.
Oh, cool. I like this song a lot. I really did. And I thought Bella being there, even though, like I said, I'm not a huge banjo fan, I think it added that extra dimension to it. And it sounded really, really good. This next one is one of my favorite old school, I guess, Dave Matthews songs, Don't Drink the Water. And, I mean, I love this song, especially the ending. And this just murders live. So, I mean, this was awesome. So, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say, because, I mean, this one pops up on almost everything, I feel like. But it's worth it, because hearing it live is like nothing I've ever heard. So,
No.
Give me your thoughts on Don't Drink the Water.
You summed it up perfectly.
Nice.
You know, if I saw this at every show I went to, I would not be mad.
Yeah. At the end, man, it's he just gets going. I'm gonna fast forward a little here. Maybe we can catch some of it. This ending breakdown is my favorite part. And Alanis sang on the studio version of this, right, Steve?
Yeah, she did some of the wailing.
Nice. I definitely know that is one I will never get tired of. I will happily listen to that one anytime it's played. You know, one thing I found interesting when they were showing the video screens, because they like to pan around to everybody, and I was not used to seeing Stefan with the big mountain man beard.
Yeah.
So that was new, but this song was killer. And that takes us into another older one, Typical Situation. I do not care for the studio version. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't mind the studio version of this, but I thought the live version of this was killer. And I kind of wish they would have either, I don't know what song I would have taken out, but I would have liked to hear Tripping Billies. I just like those two songs. And not they have to be together, but I was kind of hoping they would play that. But I'll take this one any day too. But this was pretty awesome live.
Yeah.
This first quiet part, and then the whole song's quiet, but it's just such an atmospheric, just a cool song. Tell me your thoughts on Typical Situation.
Oh, I love this live.
Yeah.
And I know when we're doing the album reviews, I said that for probably every song.
Right.
But there is such a huge difference live versus what's put down in the studio.
Yeah.
And then being there on top of it,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy.
Yeah. It was really. I mean, I was very happy to get to see this. And I think at this point in the set, because I knew it was kind of winding down, this was a good place to put this. And it was just, the quality of his vocals are fantastic.
They've only
And,
been getting better.
Yeah.
Which usually at this point in someone's career, that's not the case.
No. And I've been watching a lot of older concerts 3, 4, 5 years ago, and I think, honestly, vocally, he's probably at the top of his game. I think COVID might have done him a little bit of good, But I don't know if you guys can hear in the background, but the crowd is singing along to this.
Yeah.
And so this was another one that was just it was dark out by this time, and this was a cool spot for this song for sure. This next one I know because I bought Dave Matthews' solo album, and this is one of my least favorite songs on it. And again, as I've probably said for every song, I did not expect to like this. I don't like the studio version. I loved this live. And I will not be listening to the studio version of this anytime soon. I was not expecting a solo track. I was hoping for Gravedigger, but I think they played that the night before too. So I wouldn't have hated Save Me. That's another song on his solo album I like. I think Trouble is another one. I wouldn't have minded either of those. But this, I could say this went from our counting track shows, this went from a -1 to a +1 if we're talking about the live version. So tell me about So Damn Lucky.
I like this. This closes a lot. They closed montage with this one year.
Nice.
And with the thank you.
Oh, okay.
Right at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it was just insane. Like, we were taking the buses down the hill to the parking lots, and people were still singing.
That's awesome. That is awesome. This song, I actually hope they put this show out. I really do, because maybe it's because it was the concert I went to. I don't know, but I loved it. Steve called this next one. I was not familiar with this. They only played a little bit of it, number 40. And not to be confused with 41 or 57 or Pi or any of those other ones. But, I wasn't familiar with this one, but the crowd went a little nuts, but they only played a minute or two of this. Tell me about number 40, Steve.
This is Roy's song.
Okay.
And it seems to pop up primarily at Spac.
Oh, nice.
I think that place had a special place in his heart. And usually, it's just maybe a minute of the song.
Any particular reason they don't play the whole thing?
I think it's just out of respect. The horn parts that he did in it, like to try and recreate that.
I see.
I don't know, it'd be kind of like disparaging the guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not saying it would ever get fully played with the lyrics and all that, but yeah, they just seem to like to honor him.
I got it, and I can see that, and that makes sense. And again, I'll pull back the curtain here. Steve texted me when this was going on. He goes, "I called that." So and he
but
did.
then I also thought I knew it was coming next, and I was wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what. If there was, and I think I said this about, what did I say this about? I said this about it could happen. Oh, before I get to that, I'm going to rewind, because here's another Dave story that he told, which was hysterical. So this is about people coming up to him asking him about playing weird old songs. Steve will get your opinion right after this.
That's a funny song because I just made it up every time I ever played it. So
It's true.
and I only played it a few times as far as I can remember. So then I feel this weird not guilt, when people say, "Please play that." I'm like, I don't even know what it is. I took some acid and then I played that song and then I don't know what it is.
That's awesome.
Like asking me to do some karate. I don't know karate.
I don't know karate.
One time I took mushrooms and I was really good at darts.
Yes, here it is.
And then after that, I wasn't.
I wasn't.
But one time, I was really good. There were some people there, if you ever meet them, they will say, that dude is insane at darts.
And here's the thing. He's not. That honestly cracked me up for a good 10 minutes.
That's pretty good.
And it was hilarious. And I know there's no video, and if this ever pops up on YouTube, I don't recall. I think it was the encore, maybe the song right after this. He shadow boxes during one of the choruses, which is hysterical. This song, back to what I was saying before, I hate it. I'm sorry. I hated it. And I texted Steve, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I don't like it. And I don't think Steve is a huge fan of it either, maybe at least not the placement. So tell me your thoughts.
Especially the placement. I thought Halloween was coming. It's followed number 40 a lot. Which, just going back to that quick, I did a quick check.
Yes, sir.
40 does not have set lyrics. So that puts some to what he was saying. Wasn't a lie. It doesn't have lyrics.
Not even like
He
the
makes
early
them up
cut?
on the spot.
Oh, okay.
There's a few, one or two lines that repeat through all of them, but yeah.
Wow, good to know. So now, listening to the song now, I mean, I don't hate it, but at the time, it sucked the air out of the place. Like, you could hear people in the background, they're just talking to each other. Because it's just him up there with an acoustic guitar. I wasn't familiar with this. This is a cover, so I think anyway.
Yeah, Willie Nelson.
Well, oh, is it Willie Nelson? Okay. So yeah, I wasn't a fan, but that took us to the last song of the encore, which was Gray Street, which is one of my favorites. And I was happy to hear something off. I think he played something else, but I was happy to hear this off Busted Stuff. And this was the last one, and I remember texting Steve after Time Slips Away, and this came on. I'm like, any chance I get one more? Halloween, maybe? And I'm walking back to the car, and I get the text message, I don't think so. And he was right. But they played Halloween like 3 days later, I remember reading somewhere. Like, they just played it a week or so ago for like the first time on the tour. So I didn't get to see it, which sucks. But I got to see Cornbread. I got to see She. I mean, I got to see Hello again. I really can't complain with this show. I mean, Saratoga Springs from where we are is a good 4.5 hour drive, and it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I'm still not the biggest Dave Matthews fan, but I think if anybody out there is a concert fan, it's somebody that you should check out just because. I mean, you're honestly, if you don't, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, because even if you don't like his music, if you're into the concert atmosphere, this is one of the coolest ones I've ever been to, easily. So I loved it. Any closing thoughts? Gray Street concert in general, Steve?
Well, I think Gray Street's a great way to end the encore. It's not going to be Halloween anyway.
Right.
No, but this whole weekend was phenomenal.
Yeah. I agree.
I have never been to a bad show.
No.
There's people that are harsh on their set lists, and they didn't play anything good. Man, just go and enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I did, because it was a long drive, and they played for 3 hours, and it was cool. I was standing in the line getting a poster and talking to some people, and I heard people behind me going, oh, you think he's going to open with this, or you think he's going to play with the whatever, all that fun stuff. And so it was just cool. I definitely felt like it was something that I would enjoy doing. If he was a guy that you got the same 12 songs every time you saw him, I think this would be enough. But the fact that he changed his set list up all the time, I think that's just really cool. So
23 songs. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't happen with a lot of concerts that
no,
anymore.
and there were no breaks either. Like
Nope,
there was one break like when he came out for the encore, but that was for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was a couple things. I'll point out the nitpicky things I kind of wish would have happened if I were calling my shots, I suppose. Obviously, I wish I would have heard Halloween. Wish I would have heard something. I wish I would have heard one or two of the radio singles. I wish I would have heard Crash. I wish I would have heard, like I said, Tripping Billies. I would have loved to hear Crush, because I just like that song, and I wanted to hear the bass line. So, I mean, I'm kind of depressed I didn't hear those. There's a couple early ones that I like Warehouse, Song That Jane Likes. He didn't play those. Are those just kind of rotated out, or they're just wasn't the night for it, I guess?
Yeah, just wasn't the night for it. Looking at both set lists from night 1 and night 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to get 43 different songs
Dang.
over a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, some aren't going to make it.
Right.
But I think they're at a place in their career where they play what they want.
Yeah.
But really, nothing's out of bounds for the most part. It's just a matter of when they show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I mean,
the Gorge is going to be 3 days.
Yeah.
So you're talking damn 60 some songs.
Oh yeah.
Like that's going to be nuts.
And I mean, like, I don't. It's an amphitheater. I've never been there myself, but I mean, is that something? Because I know that's like their big show. Is that something like the common fan could get a ticket to, or like?
Oh yeah, if you got them when they announced the schedule at the beginning of the year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because really, you don't have to be up front. As long as you get underneath into the actual pavilion. It's an even more higher level of just insanity.
I bet. And I did share this with Steve. I did not buy seat tickets, because number one, there weren't any good ones left, and even if they were, they would be outside where I was. They would just be on the balcony up above, which is still outside the amphitheater, which wouldn't do me any good. And they were about 4 times more than the tickets that I bought. So, but if I do this again next year, if I see another show with them, I will say on record I will be buying a seat somewhere and putting down some dough, because I think that would have just made it even better.
Yeah.
And I had a great time, but I think that would have made it even better. Hearing that Dart story was hilarious.
That's crazy.
I don't know where the hell he comes up with these things. I did hear him say, which I kind of laughed to myself, because I hear it on all his live recordings, and I didn't think he said it anymore, but he came out, and I must have skipped over it when we were playing, but it might have been between the second or third song, but he did his whole, "Everybody smells good," and I was like, oh my God, he still says that? Jesus. And then, it was like a cloud of weed smoke just came over the whole place. And I was like, oh my God. But I was very, very happy with it. I like I said, I wish a couple more of the radio singles I would have liked. I kind of wish he would have introduced the band. I was surprised he didn't do that. I've heard him do that on a couple live recordings, but he didn't even say
all the time.
Anything. He said Bella Fleck, y'all, is the only thing he said, and I think he said Joe Lauer's name when he left the stage or something, but I was waiting for him to go Stefan Lessard on the bass guitar, and just go through all the folks, and I didn't hear a lot of that, which I was a little surprised about, but everybody impressed me. The trumpet player, who looks like a refrigerator, impressed me. Yeah. He was a force. Tim Reynolds looks like a homeless bum, but he plays amazing. I think he's a little too old to be rocking the shoulder length gray hair. But other than that, um, you know, I mean, he was. I don't think he even looked up from the floor the whole time. He was just jamming out like in his own world, and that was kind of cool. Carter kind of blew my mind because I didn't realize how heavy he was into like just providing the background vocals, some of the harmonies, just keeping the time, not keeping the time, but like keeping the crowd up by just doing little fills on the drums and stuff, and they had the Carter jersey there. I was gonna buy that. I think they were sold out, but he was a really, really. I'm a fan of drummers just because, and he's one of the best I've seen.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, and he's the happiest drummer I've ever seen.
Smiles from the beginning to end.
I was like, every time they showed him, he had an ear to ear grin. I'm like, you can't possibly be that happy all the time.
Yep.
But I mean, it was just awesome. Any closing thoughts here, Steve, before we wrap up?
I'm thrilled that you went. I'm doubly thrilled that you had a great time.
Yeah.
Because that's a hell of a trip and expenditure to go see a band. But I just had a feeling that being in that live environment, you'd see what I've been squawking about for the past couple months.
Yeah, and I did, and you were right. And luckily it was a very nice day. I mean, if it rained, that would have sucked. It was a torrential downpour on the way home, so it did rain, just thankfully not at the concert. And Saratoga Springs is beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful area.
That's such a huge area too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if anybody's on the East Coast near upstate New York, I would highly suggest checking the venue out. One of the guys, funnily enough, I'll end it with this. One of the guys I was standing in line behind or something when I was looking to get the poster, I said to him, I'm not from here, but, I'm way further back than I had assumed. I said, is this normal? And he goes, not really. He goes, I was here a month or two ago to see Zach Brown. He goes, you could have walked right down to the front of the stage. He goes, he goes, when he comes here, it's a different story. And boy, they weren't wrong, because I was elbow to elbow with somebody the entire night. So, but everybody was cool. Everybody's cool. Everybody was having a good time. There was no drunken yelling or bitching or whatever you see at hard rock shows, because Dave isn't a hard rock guy, and everybody was just having a good time. And I think that's what made it good. You could tell they were having a good time, so then we, as the crowd, were having a good time. And lastly, I'll just say, I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen a band put that much energy into a show. That's the last thing I'll say, because to keep that intensity up for 3 hours is pretty impressive, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so hopefully one of many. I'll razz Steve here, and then we'll wrap it up. And I asked you this, but I forgot. Any songs on here that I saw live that you have not seen, just so I could say I've seen them?
Pig.
Nice.
Technically, Brick House. That's new this year.
Brick House.
I mean, really, all the new songs.
All the new songs.
It could happen. Monsters.
Did you see 40?
No.
No. How about Ideas of You?
Yep.
That was a good one. And I said it before, but I'll say it again. She is very underrated. I hope more people listen to that song, because I liked it quite a bit. So thank you to Steve for doing this with me, and thank you to those that may listen to this. And honestly, if you're looking for a good time and just a nice night out to enjoy a concert, I would highly suggest going to see Dave Matthews, because, if nothing else, you're going to have a good time and, a nice night out and hearing some music. So any closing thoughts, Steve?
No, it was kind of what I was expecting for the weekend.
Right on.
And the two nights together would have been doubly phenomenal.
Yeah. And there were many there that I talked to that were there both nights. I think if I lived a little closer, I might have thought about it, maybe. But one night was good. 3 hours was good. My back the next day was thanking me for that, believe me. But it was worth it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So again, hope you guys liked it, and hopefully if you've fallen out on the Dave Matthews bandwagon, hopefully you'll go back and listen to some stuff, because it's definitely, everything's always worth a second listen, and I always feel like music is cyclical, and if it wasn't for Steve recommending Dave Matthews everything to me for the last few months, I probably wouldn't even have this on the radar. So, it was awesome and it was worth it. And hopefully, next time one of us goes to a show, we'll be back to do another one of these. So until next time, I am Ray. That is Steve. And we'll see you. Bye, everybody.